we have time. Full. Good morning and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to start getting Nugget ready for our big trip. I haven't mentioned so much about it, but we're going to take a trail ride with some other vintage vehicles. We got a couple flat fender Jeeps, a couple more Scouts, and a couple other vehicles that may or may not show up. So we're headed down to Hurricane Creek in North Carolina at the end of the month. We'll take you guys along with us. You'll get to see some cool trail ride, some other good vehicles. We interrupt this video with some great news. We have two YouTubers that are going to be coming along with us on the trip down to Hurricane Creek for the trail ride. We have Jacob from Seven Bar Salvage. He'll be bringing his late 60s, early 70s CJ5 that he has, and also Levi from Old Iron Offroad. So I'll put links to their channels down in the description. Check them out. They'll be coming along with us, and we'll see you on the trail. Now, back to the video. So be sure and stick around for that. But Nugget needs some attention. We've not done a lot of maintenance since we got back from our trip from Alaska. I've done the basic things, but there's some stuff that needs to happen. Got a couple things that are a little quirky. The door skin on the driver's side's coming loose. I still have a passenger side window that will not roll all the way down, and I have no idea why. Literally, if I take that out, it'll be the third or fourth time I've tried to fix that. I need to check my bumper welds. The bumper from pulling the teardrop is getting a little bit loose. I've got changed the fluids. Or at least check on them. I need to check the fluids for the differential, for the transfer case, for the transmission, that kind of things. Need to get the back seat bolted in, which has never happened because I've really never traveled with another person, but my buddy Mark's going to go with me, I think. And so we're going to try to get that in. We might even, weigh whether or not we should put a seatbelt in for it. What else do we got? We might look at putting in a headliner, or at least covering this sticky stuff. The headliner I had that sound dampening tiles up there, and the heat coming across the Midwest on our trip from Alaska, the heat just released the goo and it just started falling in on us. So I've got a lot of that ripped back out, but it's still kind of sticky up here. And yeah, that might need to be covered with something so April's hair doesn't get stuck into it. Anyhow. The one thing April would like to have is heat. We will be traveling in February, so I've never had heat in this Scout. It's kind of weird thinking it came from Alaska, but when I got it out of Alaska, I had it in at my house in Alaska, worked on it for 2 years before we got it moving. And the plan was, the whole time, the plan was to get it put together, ship it out of the village for a town where we lived, where there's no roads. So we put it on a jet and flew it into Anchorage. And then we were going to drive it from Anchorage, Alaska to Virginia in the summertime. I knew I wouldn't need heat. So instead of taking the chance on that leaking on the trip, I just bypassed it, hose up, down, back into the motor and called it quits. But it's all still there. I've just never messed with it. So we're going to get new hoses put on, run it through the heater, but we're going to make sure that we don't have leaks. And I've really never tested that. Also, the fan doesn't work. I think it's just it's not wired up. So we'll get that done. And hopefully we'll have a little heat on the trip. Otherwise, we'll be better off than the people coming in those flat fender Jeeps because I don't think either one of them have tops. I tried to get April to let me take Sweet Leaf, but she put an end to that. So we'll take it in a summer trip. Anyhow, we get this baby ready to roll. I will be getting new wheels and tires, or maybe just new tires. I haven't decided. But these, well, I'll show you. So these are Hankook. Basically, they're car tires. When we landed in Alaska, when we left our village, I just had little bitty Toyota tires. They weren't 4 inches because we had to get the Scout shorter to get it on the Jet. It wouldn't fit through the door this way. So I couldn't get tires until I got to Anchorage. And I went to tire shops in Anchorage, and I know if you guys drive internationals and you're not just here for the adventure or the tinkering, but if you got 15-inch rims, you know how hard it is to get a 15-inch tire normally. Well, compound that by it being in Alaska. I found 3 tire shops that had 15-inch tires in stock. And each of them had one 15-inch tire. I went to all 3 of them. 2 out of 3 of them would rub on the front because I've got the Scout rims that have 0 offset. And when you turn, it isn't rubbing here, it's rubbing in here. Where you turn, the tire would come around and rub on the springs on the front. This was the only set that would not. So for the trip, we put these on. And they did great. We had one flat, land between the lakes, and it was a nail. And you know, you get a nail in pretty much anything. So they were great on the trip, but I've got to switch these out because we're going to trail ride. It is rated about a 4, I think, out of 10 on onX. I think it can be a 5 if it is wet and rainy. So we'll just cross our fingers that it's not too bad. But if nothing else, I'm going to go get the wheels off of Sweet Leaf and put them on here. They're brand new. It's got stupid old Bronco rims, but they would do well for the trip. And I'm also considering just buying a set and having them put on. The downside is that when I have wheels put on this one, I kind of like for them to match my teardrop, which means, and then I'll need a spare. So buying a set of wheels for this Scout really means buying 7. And, well, that gets spendy. And considering I've not made a dime off of a YouTube video yet, we probably go as cheap a route as we can. Oh! Knees! So, it's like spring out here now. 1 week ago, it was 14, 12, I think at one point it was 9 degrees one morning. And today, I'm walking around in my t-shirt, my shirt. Heck, I didn't even put socks on to come out here. So, yeah, it's warmed up quite a bit. It won't last. The birds think it's spring. So we've been working on my son's XJ for the last week or 2, trying to get it ready for the road. He just got his driver's license, so drivers in Virginia beware. No, he does great. He's a good driver. But we're trying to get the XJ put together. I just got it out of the shop, but as you can tell, you know, there were a lot of wiring issues. So anyway, I need to get my mess cleaned up a little bit, and then we can get started on Nugget. Get her ready to go. Well, it's actually been a couple of days later, but I finally got the workbench cleared. My shop hasn't been this clean in a long time. There's another thing we got to do. We got to get the skid plate under Nugget. I took that off when I changed out the steering, the drag link. And so that's got to get put on too. So that'll be on. Anyway, we'll have to make us a list. What are we going to do? We need skid plate. I would like a heater. What else did I say? Well, there's a line. There's the stuff that has to happen and the stuff that might happen. I want to get that door, the door skin fixed. Down here, if we have time, we're going to do a headliner. The passenger window. What else? We need to check the fluids. I'm almost positive I have a coolant leak. We need to, I have a new speedometer cable. I changed mine on Nugget before we left Alaska. And by the time I got to Virginia, it was dancing everywhere. Now it reads like 100 miles an hour if you're moving too. So that one needs work. So we have to do wheels. Wheels and tires, something there. I have a set of Aristocrat. No, well, they're actually for Scout 2, but they're the chrome wheels that look like the ones that were on the Aristocrat. I have them out there. We might could fix those up and put some tires that I already have on those for the trip. And I think that pretty much covers what I have to get done. So skid plate, heater, door skin, check fluids, coolant leak, wheels and tires. If we have time, headliner, passenger window again, speedometer. That's all I can think of at the moment. A little chipmunk. Anyway, all right, so let's get started on this. Oh. There we go. You can see here the door. See how it's splitting apart there? I'll show you close up. So right there's the issue. It's just separating. And I use a screwdriver and I pop it back on, but you slam it 2 or 3 times and it's separated again. So it's time. There was some spot welds here that are broke. And I welded in there once, but it just didn't hold. So we'll get a little better at it this time. So I think step 1 is to just get it popped back on. Though, maybe sanding on that a little bit might be a better option. So I think I'll get a wire wheel and clean that up. Thinking maybe I should drill a hole or 2 there to plug weld it onto the body here. So now let's get her put back together. So I'm just trying to get it bent back so it touches a little like in that hole. And then I can run my drill there, which should take the rust off. Okay, so I get my clamps on that and clean those up. Yeah, I think it's gonna be okay. Okay. So you can see there I have it clamped. Got me a couple holes. I'm using that to push in because of this lip. It's kind of hard. Pretty shiny on the inside. I think that'll do. A little hot. It's also handy that I have a door that is already so damaged over there that this doesn't bother me a lot. We hit one or two more spots there. I'm sure I can take this off now. Let's get these out of my way. I'll hit that one more time. I should probably stop grabbing the door like that because it's fairly warm. Yes. Yeah, that would be good. Don't do that anymore. Ouch. Now we'll pretty it up a little bit with a grinder. I'm not a welder. If you came here looking for welding porn, you're not finding it. Not too bad. I don't think. It'll do. And underneath, I didn't quite get that one filled in too good, but I think I'll live with it. The top one's good. That one's not bad. Had a little booger weld right there, but you know, fixed it. I decided to put a little rust stop on it. So as I said before, I'm not much of a welder. Feel free to critique my welding in the comments, but be kind. Ish. I know they're awful. But it's like the 20th thing I've ever welded. And, you know, you only learn by trying, right? So I think that'll hold. One off the checklist. Now let's see what we're going to do next. Well, one down. I think now I'm going to take it out, turn it around, and bring it back in. Okay, now it's time to check the fluids. So we've got oil, transfer case, transmission, and probably the differentials. I guess that'll depend on how they look. If they're leaking or seeping, then I'll check them. Full. All right. So that's good. coolant. I can see it in there. I know it expands a little bit when used, so I'm not going to go too far here. So we're good there. Filter. You know, that's pretty new. I just put this on. Oh, well, I mean, I put it on a year ago, but I've probably only driven it 2,000 miles since then. So you can see here how I have the heater bypassed. This hose just comes out here, goes in there, when really you're supposed to have hoses that go over to this side into the heater core, heater core, the little radiator there, and then here, and then there'll be a valve to shut it off so it doesn't run in the summertime. I do have good hoses in here that I've installed. I found a like an industrial site that sold these. It sold them in like 50-foot lengths, so I have quite a bit more up there. It was a little cheaper it was a lot cheaper per foot to buy them long, and considering I have 3 Scouts, I figured I would end up using it all. So now let's see if I can get under there and identify the coolant leak. Well, won't be identifying it with that light. Never fails. All right, let's try that again. Found another light. Oh. So it looks to me like the clamp might just need tightened. It's like corrosion on it. Anticipating that, I brought this. Just see if I can put a turn or two on it. Well, we'll see if that does it. I'll start it up and let it idle later, and then I'll check. But I'm betting that's it. It does look like the end of that is kind of damp looking. Where's the button? Oh, hidden. So we'll get Nugget up on some jack stands, make it a little easier for me to get under there. So I have it a little wiped off now, which should help me locate the leak. This wasn't too bad. I see a lot of oil up here, which makes me wonder if I don't have. So I know there's a couple of bolts on the top side of this. And yeah, right there, over here. I might snug those a little. Keep an eye right here. This was pretty oily, which is the oil line, which is a plastic one, which is awful. But it is, and someday I'll fix that. Yeah, they say that's a real bad thing. But it's what's in here, and yeah, it's just what I got. So back in here, you know, it's crazy. Oh, here, let me turn a little bit. So I think this cross member is upside down. It is cupped to up, and there's like gravel stuff in here. So the reason is, well, I'm not 100% sure, but this has a 2-stick transfer case, and it did not come with one. Okay, this would have been a Dana 20, and it's a Dana 18, which means at some point someone put this in when it was living its life in Western Alaska. So I think they probably had a hard time getting it in because of that, and so they turned this way. Now, the downside is there's this tab on the transfer case. You can't really see it. It's under here. It's this little metal flap that comes down, and it's supposed to rest on top of our little rubber bumper that's right here. It's right in there. And it doesn't. And it creates a little vibration. And yes, that's wood. That is a 2x4. And I put that in. You know, those of you that have watched a lot of my videos, that was in Canada. I was trying to fix the vibration, and it helped a great deal. And I always thought, oh, that won't last long. It's still in there, and it's still snug as can be. And so every time I think I'm going to take that out, well, I don't, because I'm not sure what to do. If this won't go in the correct way to make that touch that, I still need something here. And I'm sure rubber would be better. But at the moment, this is working okay. And like I said, I'm not a mechanic. I'm a figure out how to make it good enough to ride. And this is good enough to ride. So we're going to let it ride. Someday that won't work. But today it is. And I'm okay with it. So we're going to check. There's the back of the Dana 18 with the overdrive. That's the overdrive on the back. It was rebuilt for me by Herm, the overdrive guy online. He does great work. If you have questions about overdrives, if you have an old overdrive you want to have rebuilt, or if you buy one, Herm, the overdrive guy. And I'm not a sponsor or anything like that. I'm just telling you, he knows his stuff. So we are going to check, which is up in here, which is a great place. But yeah, right there, we're going to check the fluids in the transfer case and check the fluids in the transmission. We are going to check these. I had these changed also coming through Canada, but I don't trust the Jiffy Lube that did it. They used my oil, but it didn't seem like they used enough, which made me a little nervous, like maybe they didn't change one or the other. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, we're going to check our levels here. We've done that. The diff is pretty doggone dry, so that means it's empty, or so I'm assuming there's a check on the back of it. And then we'll go to check the front one also. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 things. Well, I've looked all over, and I cannot find the pump I use to pump transmission transfer case oil, gear oil in. So April's in town. She's going to pick me one up at the store. While we wait, I'm going to start messing with the fan. The fan is unhooked. I don't know why. Maybe someone replaced that at some point and never went through the trouble of hooking it back up. But we're going to test it real quick. Hook it up here. I've got some extra wire. We can twist on there, run it to the battery, and just make sure that the fan blows before I go forward. So let's test that. This actually may not have come off of a Scout. The reason I say that is because the wires are not green. And as you know, practically every wire is green. Okay, so get over there. We won't touch anything, just for a quick test. And let's see if the fan blows. So 1 to 1, 1 to the other. Here we go. That one on positive. And nothing. I got some sparks, but nothing else. I'm gonna go the other way. I think I gotta take that guy off. Whatever that guy is. Anybody know what that is? this. If it was closer to the horn, I'd say horn relay, because it kind of looks like the one that's on the Willys pickup truck that we have. Delco Rami. I have no idea what that is. If you know, drop it in the comments. Over there. All right. Ah. Well, my phone was so excited it jumped. Oh, there must be a high and a low. I didn't see this one back behind it. It must have been under that back screw. So I bet this is a high-low speed. So it might actually work now. Let's test. I'll set it, I don't know, somewhere. That's going to be a little closer than that to get the negative on. Right there should do it. Well, it doesn't sound great. So that's low, and that's high. I think we'll oil it a little bit anyway. Okay, let's see. High speed's got some torque. Has a little wobble. Oh, that's got a lot of it out right there. All right, that got the wobble out. So now I just got to clean the ground up. There's a plug down there that has nothing into it. Look right there. Can you see that? Wouldn't that be excellent? You think that's it? It's also this guy that's a single, but I think it has to do with some a sensor that isn't in there, like the heat temp or something. It's in there. Maybe oil pressure because of the different oil gauge. Regardless, I wonder if that's it. What scares me is that is black and red, which feels more like an on and off situation. I wonder what that is. Well, let's get this put back in. We know this spins now. We know it works. And then we'll work on the wiring. But I'll get that back in there first and try to find a couple more screws to fill in the ones that were not in it. Get those things put back on the firewall. Okay, so now that we have the fan running, I mean, it'll work, we got to get the switch to work. And if I remember right, when I replaced the glove box, I made this glove box in here out of some sheet metal. That was the door of an old computer tower. Anyway, there was a fuse right here. So I dug around in a little box that I have, and I found it. And I kept this, and I didn't know what it went to, but I knew it wasn't, it didn't matter. It didn't seem to change anything. So I looked online. This is actually the fuse for the blower. So somewhere under the hood here, under the dash, there are 2 wires that these plug into. And I never got around to drilling it out and totally forgot about it. So we got to find those. Now, normally that would be very irritating, except that I have this cool piece of plywood hole right here covering up where someone hacked a hole in the dash. So we're going to take that out. So to get that in there, what I'm going to do is went ahead and put this in my adjustable ring, or my vice grips, and I'm going to put this through. Okay, I'm going to put my rubber gasket on. That is original, and this on. Now, I think I can push it up through there and get this to go all the way up. I think I got it started. Yes. Okay, got my fan fuse in. Come back to this side. Can you see? Put my clips back on. This is the switch. No, this is the power switch. It's going to go into my fuse. It's going to go in on the black wire, white clip, and then that other wire is going to connect to the back of this with one of the blade things. Now I get that back in that hole. To do that, I have to remove the set screw on the back, on the side of the knob. It is an Allen wrench. I would love to tell you what size it is. It's about that size. I don't know. Keep trying until you figure it out. That's what I did. In fact, I think I used a metric. So that's all I could get to fit. So now this is going to go on there. It can't go on until that is back in that hole.
3 hours later.
Okay. Keys off. So there's the way you work on it very easily. Nope, that's not true. So that's everything in here. Now down here, one thing I might not have mentioned is you have a heat defrost. Mine doesn't make a lot of difference. And I think it's because this little flapper in here probably had like a rubber gasket around it or something. And now when you divert, it doesn't seal well. So the stuff just goes around. And got the little vent there that turns out, and a hole down here.
Hi.
Hello.
Bye.
What you doing?
Off to bake bread.
Making bread. So, got my rat's nest put back in. My ashtray, which I just realized still has cigarettes in it. From Lord knows what, and a little money in the bottom. Ew. Got my squirrel cage in. I'm gonna put this little piece of foam in there against the firewall. I'll cut it to fit a little bit better, but that stops a lot of the vibration, which is nice. I've got these wires plugged together. If you switch those, you get fan controls different, but it still works. It's just that it goes high then low instead of low then high. So this is all good. Now, I just need to get that hose to that connector. Oh, I gotta put this back. And here's the cable that comes from the fan switch out. So that's all good. And that goes right there. Pew. I'm guessing that's a diverter of some sort. Fresh air, heat inside this box, maybe. That must be it. All right, so that goes right here. Put the clamp back on it. I'll do that now. So to be honest, I've had a long day. Taking that fan switch out 3 times because the wire keeps coming off. It's a little frustrating. So what did we get done? Well, haven't got skid plate yet, but some of the heater is done. I got all the electrical components, just got to get the hose hooked up. Check fluids, did that on some of the things, but not on all of them. April did bring me a new pump. Coolant link, I think I found that. That was on that one hose clamp, which I have now tightened. Wheels and tires is something that's going to happen eventually. I think I'm going to go with the rims I have back there for the Aristocrat and do those. Geez, my face is dirty. Yeah, that fixed it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and see how much video this is. So I think I'll stop the video here. That was quite a bit of content for a whole lot of work. Made a little progress. We'll work on the rest of it next time. If you enjoy this sort of thing, you want to see Nugget on the trail, be sure and subscribe. Looking at my data, it's like less than 10% of the people that watch my videos have subscribed. And if you subscribe, it pushes my videos out more, which gets more people to watch them in hopes that someday YouTube will pay me for a little of this work. So please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it. That helps with the algorithm also. And writing a comment. I do my best to reply to every comment that comes in. So I hope you enjoy the videos. Stick around. We'll do a little bit more. We got to get that skid plate on, which I'm looking forward to getting that back, getting those wheels on. So take care. Thank you for watching.